Okay, hello everyone. You should be in the meeting now. If you've been to our webinars before, you may notice that this is a little different. So with the new year, we have a new way we're hosting webinars through Teams. So you should be looking at my PowerPoint right now. Sarah Beth will be with us today. I'm going to give everyone a couple more minutes to join. But Sarah Beth is with me today, and she's going to be managing the Q&A area. So this will look a little different than we had it before. You'll see there's probably a chat and a Q&A. We're going to manage everything through the Q&A section. So you guys will submit questions like you did before. Sarah Beth will review them. If it's something that's useful for everybody to know the answer to, so if it's just something that's kind of general, she'll move the question into the publish section and she'll be able to answer it so that way all of you guys can see the answer to the question. If you guys ask something that's just specific to your chapter that maybe has some like personal information in it or organization specific, then she won't move it to the publish section. I think it'll technically go to the dismissed, but we will let you know that we'll follow up with you outside of this webinar so you can get an answer that you need. We have your email from when you registered, so we'll send you a follow-up email where you can get that answer to the question. So if you don't see your question go to the publish section, it's just because it's going to, again, be something that's personal just to you guys, and we don't want to share y'all's private information with everybody else. So if you want to try submitting something in the Q&A chat just to see if it works, you could maybe just put your name in there. Sarah Beth, again, will probably just dismiss these because they're not going to be real questions. But if you want to just enter in your name and what organization you're with, we can double check to make sure that's working. And then while you'll do that, there's also another feature we have that's it's called a discussion. It's going to be under the Q&A as well. So I can put a prompt in here and then you guys will be able to answer it. So let me put one of those in. I'm going to say, what are you most excited for this year? It's the new year. And then I'll post that. And then you should see that in the publish section, and then you can either react to it or you can add a comment. So again, try putting like a question in, like a name, to make sure that Q&A is working. And then if you want to answer the discussion question, you can also go ahead there so we can make sure that's working. But it has been a few minutes, so I think we're good to go ahead and start with the actual PowerPoint. So yes, let me go over one more page. Okay, so for today's presenter, my name is Hannah Gunderson. I'm a professional services specialist. And like I said before, Sarah Beth is here. She's going to be monitoring the chat. I do see 2 thumbs up on the discussion I posted, so that's good that that's working. Sarah Beth will be answering your questions. And then when we do the Q&A at the end, she may read some aloud for me to answer as well. For today's agenda, pretty simple. We're just going to do a LegFi walkthrough. So I'm going to show you all the different tools that we have within LegFi to help you with your finances. And then we'll do the Q&A. And then at the end, there is just some reminders and contact info. So what I'm going to do now is switch over to LegFi because I think it's easier to see things actually within LegFi than just hear me talk about them. So for the first thing today, we're going to start by going to this finances tab. So if you've been in LegFi for a while, this may be a little new to you. We've recently updated the tabs. When you click in here, it is going to have familiar information. So you're going to see your budget in here, your chart of accounts, and then we have these financial reports at the top. The more information you guys put into LegFi, the more useful these reports are going to be for you because it's just pulling data from your account. So if you're a newer user to LegFi, or even if you've been using it for a while, you may just think, this is something where you can put in your invoices and collect money from your members, which is true. That's definitely a key part of LegFi. But it's also a tool that you can use to really manage your finances and have everything organized. As I'm sure you guys know, that is why you've most likely been elected to your position and why you're in this webinar trying to learn about this stuff. So the more kind of work you put in up front and the more you get organized going into this upcoming year, the easier it is going to be for you to share this information with your chapter, file your 990s, and just kind of manage your budget. So if you didn't know, I'm sure everyone here probably knows, we bring it up a lot, but I'll say it again. 990s are required for all organizations. So you do have to file your taxes every year. And then in order to do that, you have to know how much money your chapter's taken in, how much money you've spent, where that's went. The IRS really cares about those things. So using LikeFi is a tool that will help you do that. To start, what I would do is go to this chart of accounts section, and this is going to be a little bit different depending on what organization you're with. I think a lot of you will have full control of this page, but some of you may be on LikeFi with a national organization. If that's the case, your national organization may have set up these charts of accounts for you. There is a default that comes with LikeFi, so everybody will have something to start. But if your chapter is not with a national organization that has preset this for you, you will be able to go in here and edit it. So you can see these pencil icons. You can click to edit. The type and the subtype for revenue is just going to be revenue. And then you can put in the account number, you can name it, and then you can put a description. So this one's pretty straightforward, member dues. A lot of these are the ones that come default with LikeFi. If you wanted to add a new account, you can just click this add account button. You're going to choose the type. So if it's going to be another revenue category, the subtype's going to automatically set itself to revenue, and then the account number. So it's going to fill in an account number that's next in order. But if you guys have maybe been managing this elsewhere and you have different account codes that you've been using, you can import those here, fill it out so that way it's set up going forward. When you're, invoicing your members, you can use those revenue categories that you've already been using, maybe outside of LikeFi to manage your finances. So what you're going to want to do is go through here. If your chapter's been on LikeFi for a while, this is probably already set, but it's just good to review. Maybe you're doing a little overhaul, or you're going to be newer in LikeFi, then you're going to want to start by setting this up, because this is going to be the foundation for everything else you do managing your finances in LikeFi. So once you go through these accounts, they'll automatically save. You can see the archived ones over here. So if you're done with some of them, we're not going to use, maybe you had one that said 2024 member dues or something. You could archive that. It's not going to get rid of the historical data like it did before. Again, if you've been here for a while, you may remember that they used to have a trash can icon, so it would delete it. When you deleted these revenue and expense accounts, it would then remove that from the reporting. So maybe old charges you had or old payments you received no longer had an account code assigned to it. This won't happen anymore. It's just going to archive them. So going forward, you won't be able to use the revenue or expense account, but it'll still be applied in your old reporting. So if you're trying to pull from last year, it's not going to delete it. So you can go through, archive those, review the ones that you've archived. If you want to bring some back, go ahead and do that. And then here you can also see your default accounts. So whenever those LikeFi fees come out that you guys all pay, you can set that to whatever default expense account you want. Same with these debit bank account transactions, credit bank account transactions, and then payment processing fees. You can preset those, so that way whenever those come up on your transaction tab over here, it's going to automatically apply these account codes. Going back to the finance tab, once you guys have all these charts of accounts set up, you're good to go ahead and start with a budget. Not required, but this is super helpful, and it's going to help you keep track of things throughout the year. I think this area is really good for transparency with your organization, your chapter, depending what kind of organization you're in. I know a lot of you are in fraternities or sororities, or maybe you are in charge of like your IFC or house corporation, whatever it is. When people are paying you a lot of money, a lot of times your members like to know where it's going. So if you have this budget, as those payments come in, these will automatically start to fill in. So if we click this manage budget button, let's say for January, we plan on getting a total of like $10,000 in meal point payments. That's kind of a lot, but depending on the size of the chapter, that could be normal. If it's smaller, maybe not. If it's bigger, you'll know your budgets, but we'll just say 10,000 because it's an easy number. Member dues, maybe we expect to get another $10,000. Again, keeping these numbers easy. And then you'll see that these automatically save. So if you build everything up front in January, you're going to expect to get this revenue right away throughout the year. But when we go down here, we maybe will expect to spend that over a monthly period. So if member dues are going to be going towards, I don't know, maybe you're going to be paying your HQ. So maybe this month you plan on paying $5,000 of it, and then your next invoice from HQ will be due this following month. We'll put in the other $5,000. That's when your invoices hit. That's when you can plan to spend that money. And then what will be nice is this automatically saves. When we go back to budgets, you're going to see these categories are now down here. So it's going to be really great is when you set up your invoices and you charge this member their meal plan and their member dues. As they pay, this budget's automatically going to fill in. So again, for transparency reasons, this could be something really great to pull out at chapter. So if you're, trying to incentivize your members and you're like, hey, we have these, bills coming up we need to pay, like, it's not just you not paying. Maybe you think, you're however many, like $1,000 payment isn't going to make a big difference, or your $500 payment is not going to make a difference. But when it's all of them not doing that, they'll be able to see that, hey, our budget's really not filled in. So we expected to have, maybe this $20,000 in January and it's only halfway filled, and now the chapter's short $10,000. It's a really easy reference for your members to see, like, hey, my payments do matter. They are applied to these budgets that we're planning on getting this money. And then they'll be able to see too with the expenses as you guys are spending money. You can see like, hey, we've spent, $10,000 on headquarter dues. It's really important that you guys pay your dues. Or you can have the fun one. So you'll have your social budgets. It's like, hey, we planned on, having, maybe another $10,000 for events this year. But if you look down here and the social money isn't coming in, it's like, hey, we can't throw these events that we planned on having. That's why we're all here. There's the academic pros for joining organizations. You have the philanthropy, all that, but you also want to spend time with each other. That's why we join these organizations. And if the money's not there, we can't be doing that. So this page will be a really great way to show your members and incentivize them that, like, hey, this is why we need your money. And then this is where it's going. You can see we're actually spending it, how maybe we all voted on the budget to prove that it's going where it's meant to. These can be built out as much or as little as you want. So if you guys just kind of do everything in a general member dues, and then the expense from that is going to be social events and maybe housing costs and IFC dues or Panhellenic dues or whatever it may be, you can do it that way, or you can really have your budget itemized out, which I recommend because, again, it's just going to make things more transparent. So going back to this tab, if you have this budget filled out, once that's set to go, that's really going to help you guys have some guidance when you're doing your invoices. We're not covering that today just because I think in our previous webinars, we've really gone over how to add invoices. But if you do have questions on how to set up an invoice and assign the revenue categories for the payments that will be coming in for that, you can always go to our help center here and it'll walk you through adding an invoice, choosing the correct revenue category, and then it'll show you what that looks like when members eventually pay on the payments page and how that's allocated out. But for this webinar, what I am going to show you is the transactions tab. So here, this is where you're going to be able to see all the money that's going in and out of your linked bank accounts or treasury funds. Same with if you have those treasury cards, all of those transactions are going to go here. And this is where you can start categorizing these, the money of coming in and the money you have going out. It's going to go back to that budget that I just showed you. So since this is a test account, we have super small amounts on here just because we're mostly making sure that the payables feature works, but we're not moving tons and tons of money. You can see it's like $1.25, $10. But for the sake of the example, this page still works. So if we're going through here, what you'll do to categorize the money coming in and going out is you're going to click this 3 dots here and you just click edit. So with this transfer, you can choose the ledger account. If this was money coming in, you could say that was money we transferred because, someone maybe paid us rent money or a parlor fee or meal plan, whatever it is, you can select it from here. I'll just say meal plan to make it easy, and we'll click save transaction, and then you'll see that it automatically will assign it. Same with down here, if we wanted to do an edit, we'll go down here. We'll see maybe it was like a social thing. I really don't know because, again, these are so small and they're kind of vague. You guys will have like actual transactions from your bank account, so you'll know what they are. So maybe it would be like a purchase from Amazon and you were buying something for, the house you manage, or maybe it was, a Walmart purchase and you guys are throwing an event and you were, buying food for the event. You'll be able to see all of those purchases here, and then it's going to let you categorize these expenses and income. And then when you go to your finances tab, it'll eventually start to fill in your budget. So like right now, it's going to take a second to load, and I'm on a test account, so it's not going to work as well. But if we have those categories there, they're going to start filling in. And then you can also see up here, you have 40 uncategorized expenses. You can click it, and then you're going to have to go through and assign all those out. The other thing you can do that's going to be really helpful to manage, especially your expenses, again, to show your members and to show the IRS where your money's going, is by using these treasury accounts and treasury cards. If you do the Plaid integration, when you add your bank account, it's going to move to the transactions page. But with this, it's going to work like these are actual bank accounts. You can see your account and account number and routing number. So I'm not going to click into it since these are real accounts and I don't want to put that on public display. But you'll be able to click into your accounts and see that information. You can also add actual cards to them. So if we clicked this 3 dots and I wanted this operating account to have kind of like debit cards that are linked to them, you can click in here. We'll click add card holder. Choose member. You probably have seen this before because we go over this a lot in webinars, but it's super helpful. So maybe we're doing one for Sarah Cordell. We're going to choose the card type. I want her to get a physical card. She's going to be using it a lot. And then for shipping, standard, we don't want to spend extra money. If you need to express ship it, you can pay to do that. We don't need to in this case. And for her spending limit, I'm actually good with $500 a day, but if you wanted to, you could change it to weekly, yearly, all time, monthly, whatever makes the most sense for your chapter. And then you're going to agree to this, click next, and then it would send it. Now you can see Sarah Cordell, maybe some of y'all have worked with her before. She does work here. So super user is not allowed. Super user is just what we call our accounts at OmegaFi here. We're not allowed to actually send cards to our employees, but in y'all's account, you won't get the super user not authorized. What it's going to do is send her an email and then she'll be able to fill in her information and then get the card. Once that happens, it's going to be kind of like if any of y'all have used, I know we have some advisors here with us today, or people who work for a house corporation. So, you know, if you've ever used like a company card, those transactions are going to start going in here. And then what you're going to be able to do is actually add receipts. So whenever you use that treasury card out of the operating fund, the transactions are going to show up here. You'll be able to click this 3 dots. You can click edit. You can fill in this amount here. And then they'll also have a little column where you can add the picture of the receipt. So you can take a picture of your receipt, add it, and then it's automatically going to store that honestly forever. So unless you delete it, it's going to just live on LegFi and we'll have that history for you. So again, anyone can look to make sure that what you're using the company's card for, the chapter's card for, your organization's card for, whatever kind of group you guys are in using LegFi, you'll always be able to refer back and make sure that people are spending the money the way they should be spending it. And then again, the bonus of that is once you start filling it in, it's also going to go back to this finances tab. It's going to fill into your budget, and then you'll be able to see under your expenses all of that money going out of the different categories. So if it was for meals, you'd see it coming out. If you're buying stuff for the house, again, if you have a housing section of your budget filled in, it's going to be coming out of that. So it's going to fill all that in for you. And then what's going to make it super nice at the end of the year is when we go here and you need to, you know, download these different financial reports, you can, or if you want to export your transactions, you can always go to the bottom of these pages and you can click export, and then you'll have all of that data that you can save. Before we go on, are there any questions on that? I don't think so. Sarah Beth, did we have any? Okay.
I don't see any.
Okay, perfect. We're trying to make it as simple as possible. So hopefully there weren't questions, but if there are, don't be afraid to ask. Okay, so moving on. Back to the financial accounts. I did mention before that if you have an external bank account and you're really not interested in opening a treasury account and a treasury card, you want to keep doing what you have been doing, you can go down here, and I mentioned that Plaid integration. So when you click add external bank account, you can see here that you would be able to click in and search it. Now, again, it's super light. This says super user not authorized. So as an OmegaFi employee, I can't go add a bank account to this account. But on y'all's, it'll just be a blank like this. It won't be grayed out. You can click it and you can start searching your bank. So if you use Wells Fargo or Chase, or we live in Georgia, we have a lot of Synovises, whatever it is, you can start typing it in. And it'll be a drop down. You can click your bank and then link it that way. It's going to automatically then, if you choose to do it through Plaid, import all of those transactions. Now, if you don't want that, you can also add things manually. And then if you want to maybe selectively add things to LegFi, you can always go to this transactions tab, and then there will be an option, or there should be one, to import transactions. Now, maybe because I'm on a super user account, it won't let me. It may not let me. What you do usually is you can click into them and then it would let you import the transactions. Yeah, I don't think it's going to let me on my test account super user. Sorry, I should have tested this before. But you guys will have a button that will let you import transactions on this tab, or you should. It'll be up here. You can click import transaction, and then you can start recording those. So if it's not automatically linked, you can manually add those transactions. Any questions on that? Since I know I didn't have a visual for you, so maybe you have a couple on that one. Maybe not. It depends. Okay, cool. No questions. Well, then the next thing I'm going to show you is really just the Help Center, because that is actually, I lied. I'm going to show you one more thing that I didn't originally plan on showing you, but I think would be helpful and kind of applicable is this crowdfunding tab. Two things here for events and fundraisers. If you're doing all of your fundraising through LikeFi, when you create these pages, I'm going to show you create a new fundraiser really quick. You'll also be able to assign all of these donations to revenue accounts, and that's also going to automatically fill in your budget. So when you're going through here, you can see the category will be an option. So if you are going to be collecting money, whether you're raising money for like maybe improvements on the house, or you have alumni that donate to scholarships for your members, or whatever else it may be, you can go here and then you'll be able to choose which revenue. So this one would probably be fundraising, the way we have this set up. And when you set up these event pages and save them, as people make donations to your chapters, like if we did this, let's share the URL. Got it. I'll show you. As people go here and make donations, it'll automatically assign that revenue category. Here, I'll do it in an incognito window so it doesn't log me in. You'll see they can make a one-time donation. So if they maybe did a $25 donation, they can fill in all their credit card information. And when that deposits into your either treasury account or your external bank account, it's going to automatically use that fundraising revenue or whichever one you had chosen and record that on y'all's page. So it'll be just one less thing that you have to go back and manually do. It'll automatically show up on your transactions. And that's the same for events. If you were selling tickets to an event like this, we have a LikeFi Spring Formal. If people bought tickets, and this has a social revenue category, as people buy tickets, it's automatically going to go into that account and then apply to your budget. So that is another tool you guys have. And then, like I said, in the Help Center, I do want to show you something. The other tool we have within LikeFi is LikeFi Payables. Now, this is like a very involved section of LikeFi. You can see we have a ton of articles here. And I wanted to show you this first, just because in this webinar, we're not going to be going through absolutely everything that Payables has to offer, because it would make the webinar too long. But I did want to show you this section of the Help Center first, so you can see when I show you here under Payables, we have these different tabs. We matched up our Help Center with those tabs so you can get answers on all of these different things. We also have a Payables webinar that I did. So if you go to videos and webinars and you go under this webinar section, you'll be able to do this LikeFi Payables, learn what it's all about. It is a bit of a longer one. It's on YouTube, but you can watch it in 2x speed or break it up and watch it over a few days. So you're going to learn absolutely everything there's to know about Payables. Again, wanted to show you this before I give you the really quick tour of Payables, just because, again, there's not enough time to get into every single thing that it has to offer. But this will be a tool you can use, again, just for LikeFi to start automatically recording those expenses that your chapters have. It's a way for you to pay your vendors. So if you're paying utility companies, or you're paying for a venue for formal, or maybe you have someone come to do repairs on y'all's house and you have to pay, like the handyman or the carpenter or whoever the person is that's coming in, you can use this. What you'll always want to do is make sure your vendors are added under payees. So this is just some terminology you'll probably have to get to know within LikeFi. Vendors, payees, you can use them kind of interchangeably, but in LikeFi they'll be called payees. You can easily add a payee by clicking this button, and then you're going to fill in all of their information. So this is the person you'd be paying. So if you're paying Hannah's cleaning service, you would type in Hannah's, cleaning service, whatever the name of the company is. And then your account number with this. So if your account number with Hannah's Cleaning Service is 123, you could fill that in, and then you'll have your default payment method, which is either mailing them a check, or Payee's Choice would let the manager of the cleaning service, so in this case it would be me, I could say I prefer to receive a mailed check, or maybe I prefer, or not English. I prefer having a direct deposit. So if we do Pay's Choice, it's going to email Hannah's Cleaning Service with whatever email we put in here. And then I would be able to choose, I would like a direct deposit. I'll put in my bank information. And that way, whenever you guys approve these payments to go out, it's just going to deposit the money directly into my account. You can also choose where you're paying it out of. So we're going to do the operating account. And then here's where you can choose that default expense. So this is a cleaning service. It's probably going to be under, I don't know, maybe house and grounds. I don't know if that's the best one. That sounds more like outdoors, but we'll just say house and grounds. We have that default ledger account, and that way every time you pay me, it's going to default to this. If you want to change it, you can. So if it's maybe like a one-off charge where it's going to be a little different to Hannah's Cleaning Service, maybe they're offering something new, like a new service that's not going to fall under this default ledger. Whenever you go to pay them, you can adjust it, but it will auto-fill this. So every single time you pay Hannah's Cleaning Service, you won't have to fill this in. Just if it's for whatever reason different that one time you pay them, then you would be able to go in and edit it when you add the bill. And then down here, you just fill in their contact information. You can add additional details. Maybe you have, I don't know, like notes with how you pay them, like maybe they prefer to be paid, or maybe whenever they come, you have to have the house prepared a certain way. I don't know, whatever details you want to add down there, you can add. And then if you want to track for $9.90, you could choose either no, or not $9.90, excuse me, $10.99. You could choose no or yes. So again, that's just going to depend on the vendor and how your organization's using it. And then you can throw in the EIN down there if that is applicable. And then you'll click Save Payee, and they will become, yes, I want to discard the changes, they'll become an active payee, so an active vendor you can pay on your list. If you're ever done with them, maybe you're not going to use them again, you can archive them, but you can always bring back the archives. So maybe you did like a one-time event and you paid out, I went to South Carolina, so I know one time we had formal at Williams-Brice Stadium. Probably aren't going to be paying Williams-Brice a bunch, so maybe they were an active payee and then we archived them, but maybe a few years later they decided to do another event there. You could always go here, click on archive, and it would move them back to active payees, and they would be available for you to pay. If you do want to pay one of your vendors, you just go to this dashboard and you click add a bill, and then it's going to be basically fill in the blank. So again, I'm not going to make you sit here and watch me do it, but you can see the payees are all going to be listed here. Maybe it's Botanical Gardens, and then you would fill in all this invoice, due date, invoice number, all that information based on whatever invoice you received from your vendor. You can add line items. So if they itemize the invoice they sent you, you can definitely itemize it here as well. Again, maybe it's going to break up those different expense categories. And then down here, you can attach the invoice. So if they emailed it to you, you can attach the email copy here. That way you have on record that image. And then whenever you're done, you'll click create bill. It's going to move to your dashboard. And then on here, you can see all of your unpaid bills. You can see any upcoming approved payments. Our account is doing pretty poorly. It's a test account, so we don't actually pay any of these out, but you can see all of these are red because they're overdue. Hopefully y'all's chapters will have things that are yellow and green, so they're upcoming or about to be due soon. Or maybe just set barely past due, I think it's yellow actually, but it'll assign those colors based on those things. Unpaid bills are down here. So this is just an easy way to notify you like, hey, we still owe our vendors money. These could be unpaid for multiple reasons. So maybe you just don't have enough money in your operating account. If this was maybe $1,000 or even $100 bill, even if we had this approved, it's not going to go through because our operating account doesn't have enough money. Or in this case, this one we do have enough money, but you can see it's pending approval. Depending how you organize and set up your chapters like FI account will dictate how many approvals is needed here. So some chapters or organizations, you only need one approval. So if you're the one adding the bill, as long as you click approved, it's going to be sent out. Other organizations, maybe you need 2 approvals. So if you're the one adding it, you could have added the bill, approved it, but it's going to have this pending approval button until another officer or contact on your like FI account goes in and approves it to be sent. Once it's approved, it's going to go down here to the upcoming approved payments. You can approve these as early as you want. So even if you approved it like 2 months out in advance, it'll just go down here to upcoming approved payments. And then 2 months from now, it'll actually send out either that mailed check or that direct deposit, depending how you set it up or your payee decided to receive the money. So you'll see that sitting down there, and then eventually they will go out. Any questions on that part of it?
No questions on payables, Hannah.
Okay, Cool. I do see, and I think again, you guys can see the responses. I do see one question that was submitted saying that they only use Like5 for member billing currently, and they were asking about additional costs for the treasury accounts. There are no additional costs for these treasury accounts other than like I think your normal like card processing fees that I think you'd have, but we don't charge you to open accounts. So you can have as many treasury accounts as you're approved for. Same with the cards. The only way you'd get charged for a card is if you express shipped it. But if you do the standard shipping, there's no cost to have cards sent. You can have as many cards as makes sense for your chapter. Again, that's just assuming the person applying for the card gets approved. I don't think I've ever really heard of someone not getting approved. I don't know what would trigger that, but yeah, as long as you guys, fill out the right information, you do this verification. So you just put in your, your name and what organization you're with. They do have to verify since it is opening like a real bank account that you are who you say you are. And then same with the cards, it's just going to verify that whoever's applying for the card is an actual person. That's just normal regulation. So all that will be there, but yeah, no additional cost. Same with this payables. We do not charge you guys for this feature. So everything that you pay with that Like5 subscription fee a month covers all of this here. The only two things that we charge extra for and isn't really applicable to this webinar, but I'll still show you it, is Like5 is a paperless billing system. If you ever wanted to do on-demand paper statements, we do charge for those. So you can see it's $1.50 per paper statement that gets sent. I don't think people usually use this feature. It's pretty rare that people need to send a paper statement. Most of the time people just use their invoices or they get sent an e-statement. The other feature you'll pay for is if you use this contracts feature, it's $1 per contract sent. So if you have 10 members signing a contract and use this, you guys will be charged 10 extra dollars. Those are the only two features in Like5 that are extra. Everything else is covered with your Like5 subscription fee. So I definitely recommend trying these features out. I know I'm biased, I work here, but it is a really useful tool, especially if your organization has a lot of transitions and officers. We have this designed to be passed down. So instead of, jumping through all the hoops, maybe at your traditional bank that you do here, like this one has this US bank, this is designed to be passed down. So as somebody's made a new admin of Like5, they will get access to this account. They can go cancel the old cards, order a new card for them, and they'll immediately have access to their treasury account. So it's super easy to, again, move the financial accounts from one officer to the next as you guys have that turnover each year. If you're in a fraternity or sorority, or even other clubs in college. I know, again, as people are graduating, there's always new people coming in or going out. So that's a super cool feature. And then again, with the payables, what I think is really nice about this is everything logs, and you will have that record forever on Like5 instead of it getting lost on someone's computer. Sometimes maybe, last year's treasurer was a senior and they had all of these receipts and vendor payments saved to their laptop and they graduate, but maybe you're the one, submitting the 990 this year. Maybe you submit your 990s, towards the end of the year, and now you don't have any of the information you need. You're having to call him. He started his, new job. He has like a 9 to 5 and he's not answering you, and maybe it's a pain in the butt. This basically gets rid of all those problems of having to track down all of these files and records living on different people's laptops as, again, officers get turned over. It's all going to log it here, and then it's going to automatically record it. So you won't have to be pulling a bunch of different spreadsheets and bank statements and trying to organize all of that to put together your 990s or whatever else you may be needing it for. It's all going to be within Like5 automatically recording on your different reports, your pie charts, whatever you want to share with your members. It even pulls up into your dashboard. This is just a notification that we need to re-verify this account, but it'll even pull down here. So you can look at your cash flow. Again, an easy thing to show your organization, like, hey, we're spending a lot of money this month and we really don't have any green coming in. Please pay your dues. So hopefully your chart's going to look more like this over here where you have more money coming in than going out. So you'll have all of this, again, automatically importing. The more you use Like5 to your advantage up front, like setting it up, the less work you're going to probably have in the long run. But it is optional. If you want to just use Like5 for invoicing members and collecting money and doing everything else outside of it, it's still going to work. We just like letting you guys know that these tools are here for you to use if you would like to use them. And then again, I'll show you this payables help center, not just payables, but the Help Center in general. If you have more questions, you can always go here and refer to any of these sections. We have them again matched up with the tabs of Like-Fi, so you can see there's financial accounts over here. And then within here, you can go to the financials account section and we have help articles written. We also will upload all of our webinars. So if you need to refer back to this webinar, you can go here and within a few days after I edit it and upload it to YouTube and everything, you'll see it listed under the webinar section for you to refer back to. Any other questions? Otherwise, I'm going to switch back to our PowerPoint and just show you that help information I promised. This is my little question section. Okay, this I actually should have updated. This was our old reminders. So if these were your fiscal year ends and you haven't done your 990s yet, you are late. Just because you're late doesn't mean you're now exempt from submitting them. So definitely if these were your fiscal year ends and you didn't submit your 990, these were the due dates. If you need help, you can always email. We have a tax filing service. If you want to pay for that, you can email 990@omegafy.com and they will help give you some guidance on catching back up. And then I don't have the upcoming dates again. I should have refilled this and I didn't even think about that. I was so used to, I had this template for so long for webinars last fall that these were upcoming dates, but you can always Google the IRS 990 filing dates and then they'll have them listed. And then here's our contact information. Super simple. We had a lot of emails, like login emails, but we've all consolidated them to software support@omegafy.com. As you email this, there are still separate teams that'll help you. So if it's a login question, our login team will take it. If it's a Like-Fi question and you don't know how to do something, they'll be able to give you the help articles or walk you through it. It'll go to the correct team. And if you have the off chance of finding a bug, there shouldn't be a lot of them, but with software, it's inevitable. Eventually a bug will come up, I'm sure. You again can send that to software support@omegafy.com, and then our team that handles bugs will work with IT to get that fixed super quickly. You also have that in-app question mark button. That's the Get Help page. And then something else I'll show you on that. You can submit requests through the Help Center as well. If you don't see an answer in any of these categories that you need, you can click Submit a Request and a form will pop up. It'll have you choose the type. So if it's software, login support, contract agreements, or billing, you can choose all of those. Or choose from any one of those, I should say, and then it'll have you put in your email, the subject line, the description like a normal email, and this goes to that software support@omegafy.com email address. So it's not like this is going to a separate bucket. It all goes to software support@omegafy.com. If you ever lose that email, just come here, click submit a request, and then our team will get back in touch with you. I believe the turnaround time or the SLA is like SLA is our lingo, sorry, but like the turnaround time we aim for is usually within a day. So you should get response within 24 hours, unless it is a weekend. Then obviously it'll be on Monday because we won't be in office, but I think it's a day or maybe two. I can't remember. So Sarah Beth can correct me if she knows off the top of her head, but you will get a response within a day or two. Don't expect or don't, worry about the fact that if you use this feature that you're not going to get a response for like a week. That's not the case. You'll get one pretty quickly. So let me go back to the PowerPoint. You can screenshot this page, take a picture, write down the email, whatever is going to be the most useful. But that is all I have for you guys today. So if there are not any more questions, I will let you guys go. Sarah Beth, was there any more before I end it for everybody?
We have one more that came in asking about treasury cards, and the name on the card, and that will be the individual's name. It's similar to like if you have a debit card for a business account at a bank, it's going to have whoever the individual it was issued to, their name on it.
Correct. Yeah, it'll be linked to like the organization's bank account, treasury account, but it will have their personal name on it, which is why we do recommend once that officer's outgoing, definitely cancel the cards because you don't want to be passing down a card with somebody else's name on it, especially when these cards are free and you can just order a new one and start using it immediately. Also, I guess I should add this too. You can add it to your Apple Wallet. So even if you're waiting for the card to come in the mail, you could already use, type in the information. You can see the card number when you click like view info on the cards, and you can add it to your Apple Wallet or, I'm sorry, I actually don't know what the one is called for Android, but you can add it to those mobile wallets and then tap and pay until your physical card comes in. But yeah, great question. But if that was the last of all of them, I'll give it, I think we technically have 5 minutes left within this webinar. So I'll let it run for like another minute if you guys want to submit them. But if not, I really appreciate you guys joining us. And I hope you guys have a great start to your year. Thanks.